She was born into polygamy. Her family followed the teachings of Joseph Smith, including plural marriage. Like many young girls, she had been promised to a man who was her father's age. But she ran away. She chose hell over a life of polygamy. That girl was me. I was lost, alone, desolate. Then Jesus Christ found me and rescued me. In His love, I found real freedom. He is a shield to all who will take refuge in Him. This is why I can look back and ask, polygamy? What love is this? Welcome to our show, Polygamy, What Love Is This? Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Doris Hanson, and the purpose of our show includes helping those who are in polygamy to escape, not only to facilitate their escape, but to help them after they're free, and to help them know that polygamy was never commanded by God, and they do not have to live polygamy in order to please Him or go into heaven. If you or anyone that you know is in polygamy and would like to get out, or if you know someone who needs to talk about it, give us a call, because we'd be happy to talk to you and explain to you what we do. We do help people escape, and we do help them after they're gone. And of course, everything that we talk about and everything we do is held in strict confidentiality. We do have a toll-free number. You're free to call this number if you would like to talk about your situation, or give this number to someone else who needs it. And it's toll-free 877-425-9993. Now, if you'd like to make comments about our show, or if you have any questions about any of our shows, you can email us or telephone us about content or topic. Our email is email@whatloveisthis.tv, and the telephone number is 385-240-2888. So feel free to contact us. We'd love to hear from you. Now, we all have most likely have heard it said at some time or another, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is that good men do nothing. Well, the only thing necessary for polygamy to continue to triumph is for those who have been abused by it to do or say nothing, or for those who have been in it to not talk about it, so others won't know what it's all about. Our guest this time is a former plural wife who has something to say about life in polygamy, and she's certainly worth listening to. And so we want to introduce a former Kingston polygamy group member and former plural wife, Carrie Pratt-Brown. Thank you for coming, Carrie.
Oh, thank you for inviting me, Doris.
You're welcome. You've got quite an interesting story, and so we're going to take it from the top and just kind of work through it and just tell our viewers what it was like to be in the polygamy group, and the reason you left, and what it's like after you left. Now, you were raised in the Kingston group. Were you born in the group? Born a member?
Yes, I was.
And why don't you just tell us about your family? Was your father a polygamist? Did he have plural wives? Do you have a lot of siblings?
I have a lot of siblings, but when I was growing up, my dad never lived plural marriage. He did briefly later on after I left.
Oh.
After I was married.
Mm-hmm.
But while I was growing up, there were 16 of us.
16 kids and one mother.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We got that at school all the time. How many mothers do you have? How many fathers do you have? That was
you said 16 siblings from the same mother, and that's in a polygamy group is unusual, isn't it?
Well, there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of mothers that have a lot more kids, though.
Mm-hmm. Well, and a father that has that many kids usually has more than one wife too. So
right.
So while you were growing up, you didn't live in a polygamy home, but you lived in the polygamy group. So did you expect? Were you taught about polygamy? Were you groomed to practice polygamy when you grew up that you would be a plural wife?
Yes, my older sisters were plural wives.
Oh, okay.
They were like third. Believe they were second or third wives.
So you expected to be a plural wife when you got married?
Oh yeah, it's something that you didn't think that you'd be anything else. I mean, that was.
And how did you feel about that? Did you have any opinion?
Growing up, I mean, I don't think I really thought so much about it because it's like breathing when you're in that.
Yeah, you're just groomed from the cradle almost.
Yeah, pretty
to
much.
Do that, to expect that.
Probably the hardest part was when you're in a big family where there isn't the money, then there isn't food. I grew up without most of the necessities. In my later life, it's made me, hold on to things that weren't, as buy a lot of food,
Yeah.
just because you're afraid that you won't have it, or.
And I understand that too. We were raised in severe poverty too, growing
Right.
up, and the Kingstons do that with their members. They just keep you
do.
penny pinching all the time,
They do.
and not allowing personal products. So when you were old enough to get married, how old were you when you got married? And did they choose your husband for you, or did you choose your own?
Actually, I met him. He worked up on the farm, and my mom really didn't. When I was growing up, my mom thought I was like a devil child. She didn't have a very high opinion of me. She told me when I was quite young that I was her mistake.
Oh my goodness! And you grew up with that, huh?
I grew up with that, and I just wanted to. It was more escape, more to get away from because, nobody wants to be somewhere they're not loved.
So you wanted to get married and get away from there?
Yeah, but it was more. It wasn't like when you get married, then you should get married because you love them and because you want to start a life, not because you're trying to get away from what you consider to be a bad situation.
Why, if I can ask this, if you don't want to answer it, that's fine. But why did she call you that?
Because I was very opinionated, and Mom didn't understand me, and so she didn't really try to understand me. So she told me when I was very young that
There's not room for personal opinion and personal thinking in polygamy groups, though. That's something
true.
that's difficult for them to handle.
That's true, and there's a lot of abuse because you got so many kids and you're living in that situation. Yeah. It's really difficult. You're not really taught to, be patient with them or.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So let's go back to when you got married. You met the man that was going to become your husband. How old were you when you got married, and how did you decide to marry him?
He talked to. Well, I was 15 when we got engaged, but I was 16 when I married him. He was 2 months off of being 40.
Oh wow, he was that much older than you.
He was 24 when I was born.
So were you his first wife?
I was the first wife. He'd never been married before. He went and talked to my father, and my father gave his consent. Yeah.
And your mother says, "Please take her off my hands."
Pretty much.
So then he became your husband. So you were 16 when you got married.
I mean, he was an adult, and I was still a child.
Yeah. Well, for sure. But he hadn't had any experience being married before either, so it was kind of a new experience for both of you.
Right.
How long before he started taking plural wives?
He started looking right after we was married.
Really?
Up till I don't remember how long it was. It was a few years, but every year he was looking for wives all the time.
My goodness. How'd that make you feel?
Oh, worthless. I mean, you should be enough,
Yeah. Even though you were raised with the idea that you would become a plural wife,
Right.
you were lucky enough, if you could use those terms, to have gotten into being a first wife.
Right.
And now him taking plural wives didn't sit well with you.
It wasn't. They were my sisters, and it was really. It really didn't. At first, it was fine because.
So he married your siblings?
He married my sisters.
How many?
He married 4 of my sisters.
4 of your sisters? Yeah. Wow. Were they younger or older than you?
My youngest sister, I'm trying to think of the ages. I have my next, the oldest sister, and the rest of them are younger than me.
Wow.
Right, so.
So he had 4 plural wives
He did.
besides you,
He
5
did.
total wives.
Right.
And okay, let's go back to that. How did you feel about your sisters marrying your husband?
Well, they were very jealous. And, I mean, I've always been, I like getting along with people because I love people.
Yeah.
And my sisters they were very jealous of me. And, I mean, you can't tell me a guy doesn't have a favorite. They have a favorite, and everybody knows it. And when they show the favorite, then you're just like,
Yeah.
you don't feel like you're worth anything.
Yeah. So who was his favorite?
My younger sister,
Your
of
youngest,
course.
the youngest one. Yeah.
She had more of his. She liked more of the things he liked. So when we would go anywhere, she looked like the wife. She walked by him, and I walked back with.
That's sad. That broke your heart, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
How many years did it take him to get these 4 extra wives?
Oh wow, I haven't really thought about that.
I mean, did he do it bam, 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 or was it several years?
It went several years. Yeah.
Good.
The two last ones were his father's. They had been married to his father, and when his father passed away, then
Oh my word! So they married their husband's son.
yeah, right.
Well, now I know this happens in polygamy group, but it's just so
Right.
awful when you think about it.
Well, one of my sisters, she married him to be took care of because she wasn't used to not having anybody, but it wasn't to have kids because she was beyond that.
How young was his youngest wife? You or your younger sister or one of the others? Were they younger than you?
She was 15 when she got married.
She was 15 when she married. Now they claim they don't marry young girls off.
Right. Sure they don't. When I got married, she was 2.
You were okay.
So she was.
You were 2 years old when you got married,
she-
and then she grew up and married your husband at 15.
She was 2, and then, let's see. No, she was 1 when we got married, and then she married him when she was 15.
So it was 14 years later,
Right.
after you married him, that he married her.
Yeah.
Oh, polygamy, I'm telling you. So there was jealousy and favoritism. Was there a lot of jealousy with all of the wives, or was it mostly between you and the youngest?
It was. They were jealous of me, and he was trying to make decisions for my girls with other wives, with my younger sister.
How did he support 5 wives and families?
He was actually on Social Security. He was receiving Social Security, and
For what?
because of his age, he was receiving Social Security. Not at first.
By the time he got all of his wives, he was retired
Right.
and receiving a Social Security check.
Yeah.
But that didn't support 5 families.
His father made allowances to allow him to, and then with his tax return and.
Oh my goodness. So you lived in poverty.
Right.
You grew up in poverty and then you got married and
Right.
lived in poverty continually.
Well,
and that's the way it is in the Kingston group too.
Well, we lived on a farm, so the kids started working young, so that.
Of course, a lot of your food would have been supplied at that point too from the farm.
Right.
So how many years were you married before you finally left the Kingston group? And what caused you to make the choice to leave?
I was like 34. We'd been married for 34 years. When my next youngest daughter turned 14, then he started wanting to find her husband, and that was not acceptable to me. She was a child, and I made it very plain. She had to be an adult. She couldn't marry a close relative, and
Good for you.
And he shouldn't be married, and he couldn't honor any of those things. And so he did. He continued to, but not through me. I have a sister.
So he's doing it behind your back.
Doing it behind my back. He knew I wouldn't go along with it. So he would, he went to my daughter as well, looking for a husband for her. And
Did she know that he was looking for a husband for her?
oh yeah, he told her, and then she told me.
Okay. Okay.
Because, I mean, I needed to know these things.
Sure,
I'm her mom.
of course,
Right.
naturally. And you know, it's interesting to hear you say, I saw this happening to my daughter, and I didn't want that to happen to her. Whereas so many women in the polygamy groups want their daughters to be married into the same thing that they were married into.
Right.
But you didn't. You wanted better for them.
Definitely. I wanted her older sister well, you know, her sister, who has been on this show, was
Rachel,
abused.
yeah,
Rachel,
Rachel.
she was abused, and I could see that. I could see that was what was going to happen. And besides, she was a baby. Come on.
Yeah, that's true. And you brought up Rachel, and so I'd like to mention to our viewers right now, Rachel Brown has been interviewed on our show a couple of times in the past, 2 or 3 times actually. She's your daughter, and she's the one who had the 3 girls that the judge gave those 3 daughters to the polygamist husband into his custody, and they're still in his custody.
They
right?
They are.
And so it was very exciting, Carrie, when I heard that you were leaving, that Rachel's mother was also leaving. I was thought, wow, this is great. How did you feel when Rachel first said she was leaving? How did you feel about her leaving the Kingston group?
You know what? I was for it. She enough is enough. She took more than she should have. He was abusive to her. He was abusive to the kids. When he would come over, you could feel fear. You shouldn't feel that.
Right.
No one could do anything. I remember the fear he brought in, and nobody deserves that.
And he was extremely physically abusive to her.
Oh, yeah.
Very, very, and 2 other wives that he had too.
Oh, yeah.
True. And so how many years after Rachel left was it before you left?
It was a few years. I'm not sure how many years.
It was probably, 4 maybe?
Thereabouts.
Something like that.
Yeah. And I just wanted to get my GED because that's another thing. We're not allowed to have an education.
Yeah, that's right.
And I wasn't going to leave without it.
So you got your GED before you left?
I took the last test on the way out.
Good for you.
We loaded the car and stopped in. I took the test, and then we drove to Salt Lake. So, yeah.
Wow, that's quite. So you had it planned. You had it planned in advance.
Oh, yeah.
When you left the group, well, first of all, how many children did you have while you were still there?
I had
Total.
11 children.
So you're their mother, 11.
Yep, 8 boys and 3 girls.
Wow.
7 of my boys are still in.
Wow.
One of my boys left on his own.
And how many of your daughters did you bring out with you?
I have 3 only.
And so they're all 3 with you.
They're all 3 out.
And the 2 youngest ones. So Rachel is of course already out, but then you brought 2 younger ones with you. One of them was your husband was trying to marry off.
Right.
And then the other one was too young, but you knew that would happen to her.
Well, she's 13 now, so this is not very far from when he was looking.
When he was looking to marry, so that's what would be happening too.
Oh, yeah.
So now you're out, and you face all kinds of troubles and struggles, and of course Rachel's out already, so she's able to help you, and you did contact our ministry to help, and so you got support from different areas, but there's still a lot of struggles and trials and troubles when a woman leaves polygamy, especially with dependent children.
Right.
What would you say was your greatest struggle?
I did not have a clue how to get a job. I wasn't sure how to get an apartment. All those things.
Did you know how to open a bank account?
I knew how to open a bank account, but because of credit, they're really funny about it.
Yeah, they are. That's true.
So it was really hard to get anything. So I actually get paid on a pay card because of that. So
okay. So when women, if you were going to talk to a woman who wanted to leave a polygamy group after your experience,
right,
and say she was on maybe the same level that you were on when you left a first wife with young kids and whatnot, what would you advise her to do before she left and then as soon as she left?
The first thing I would say, be sure that you have either a diploma or a GED. Number one thing, and maybe try to get a bank account that you can take with you.
Yeah, yeah. I know when Rachel wanted to get when she first opened up her bank account, she was told, I think it was by her father, which would be your husband, when he found out she had a personal bank account on the outside of the group with only her name on it, that was wicked, and the only way that it would be considered okay was if she put a man's name on it, which could either be himself or her husband.
Oh yeah. Oh, that would have
Yeah.
been a mistake.
Oh, it would have, for sure. Did that happen with you at all? Was that kind of a...
No, that it wasn't like it. I don't know if I really surprised him. I did tell him I was planning on moving to Salt Lake. I wanted to get a job and move
So
to
he
Salt Lake.
might have thought you were known you were leaving. Were your sister wives glad that you were kind of competition out of the way?
I believe so, because they don't, yeah. But then I was no competition anyway. I felt like I was already on the outs when I left.
Put you in retirement, kind of. What about the doctrine of the Kingston group? When you left, were you threatened with hell and damnation and son of perdition? Were you told that there's no way you could please God now because you were gone?
When I was growing up, I was raised to believe that if I left, I'd go to hell. I never really heard anything from anybody, but I was urged to come back. Mm-hmm. But before, when I was a kid, I mean, that was always a fear. I mean,
Did you fear that when you left? Was that a fear in the back of your mind when
I-
you finally decided to leave?
I believe it was, but I knew that the life I was going to have would be worth it.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I didn't really believe I'd go to hell because
Because you left.
well, I started going to the church. My brothers go to a Christian church, and they don't teach that.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And the Kingston group is not the Savior, Jesus is.
No, they're not.
So we don't have to worry about that part of it anyway at all.
No.
What about a practice that the polygamy groups and even Mormonism itself involves themselves in, and that is, if you leave, they'll shun you. They won't talk to you. They'll, especially the Kingston group, they'll disown you, and the FLDS do this as well. Did you feel like that you've been shunned or that you've been shut out of some people's lives that you would like to be part of?
I believe so. I believe that there's a certain amount of people that believe that and will never talk to their kids, which makes no sense to me. And there's a certain amount of people that don't care. They're like, well, it's my friend, it's my child, it's my sister, whatever. My mom hasn't talked to me.
Your mother hasn't
My
since you
mom,
left?
no, she don't talk to me.
Oh.
So yeah.
Well, you were a hell child anyway, so
Exactly.
I guess this just kind of proved it to her. I don't
Right,
know.
maybe so.
But that's sad because being part of the group, I mean, the whole part of Mormonism is free agency, and that we reserve the right to worship God according to our consciences. So why
Right.
doesn't it go both ways?
Right.
It makes you wonder about that. And of course, in the polygamy groups, they teach that same doctrine as the Mormon Church does. So when you left, did your husband support you financially? Did he offer you financial help? Was he supportive of the kids that you brought with you? How did that go?
He didn't support me. I found help other ways. When I first come down, I stayed with my brother for about a month or a little better, and then I stayed at Rachel's and with her and her kids in a 2-bedroom apartment, and me and my 2 girls. That was quite a house load. Mm-hmm. I stayed with her for a while, and then we got our own place. But yeah, we.
And that was quite an
talked to you.
ordeal to get
Oh my
to
gosh.
get your own place and get it rented and in your name and
Right.
and pay the rent and the deposit and
Right.
all that it took just to start getting established on your own. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's tough for a woman in polygamy to do that.
Right.
Women with kids, especially Rachel. She had 3 young kids that she brought out with her.
Right. That had to be really. I know that was rough.
Yeah.
But she lived in a shelter for a while.
Yeah, it was a tough thing
Yeah.
for her. So when did Rachel, your daughter, when she left, do you think that had any bearing at all on your choice to finally make the move to get out? I mean, did she pave the way to make it something that you would want to follow, or do you think you would have done it anyway?
It helped. It helped having her and my brothers. It did. It did help. I think we would have done it anyway. I think we would have, but it helped because I had somewhere to go, and I wasn't really as destitute as I could have been.
That's true. That's true because you did have that. Now, your daughters, the two that you brought with you,
Right.
one of them is 13 now and the other one is 18.
Right.
How did they feel at that time leaving behind their friends, all that they knew?
That's interesting, is because they wanted to come.
They didn't want to stay behind with their friends and family.
The funny thing is Rhoda's like me. She didn't go to church for like 2 years unless they forced her before we left. So she didn't want to go to church. So she would come down when we come down here. They wanted to come. Yeah.
And so there wasn't any grieving on their part that they had to leave their old life behind.
It wasn't their life. She missed her brothers.
Yeah.
Rhoda missed her brothers, and when they first come down and would see us, then she would be really sad. But she's a lot better now.
We're getting close to the end, and so very quickly, what about your daughters? The polygamy group lost 2 assets when they lost your daughters,
Right.
because they would have been plural wives.
I-
Did they try to get them back?
Honestly, I don't think that I don't think that their dad believes that. I mean, Rhoda's 13. Mm-hmm. I mean, he would like to influence her to marry.
Yeah. And do you think he's trying to? Do you think anybody's trying to get them back so they can become a plural wife in the group?
I think they do it. He does it subtly because
Yeah.
he knows how I feel about it.
Yeah.
But I'm really lucky because as soon as Linda turned 18, then she got a job, so she could help, and that's.
And it's great. And I want to thank you for coming and sharing part of your story. I think one of the most refreshing things was when I talked to your daughters when you first left and you were in that transition stage, and neither one of them wanted to have anything to do with going back to that polygamous environment. And I thought that's great that those girls don't want to be part of that.
Right.
That's good. Thank you, Carrie, for sharing with us. I really do appreciate it, and I'm sure our viewers will enjoy hearing your story too. So thanks for sharing it.
And thank you for
with
inviting
us.
me.
You're welcome. So, and we've just heard Carrie's story, another woman who had the courage to get out of a polygamy group and a polygamous marriage, and we applaud Carrie, and we applaud her daughter Rachel and all the other polygamous women and mothers who have decided to make a better life for themselves and their children. And we want polygamists everywhere to know, who are watching the show, that God does not smile on polygamy or on any female subservience and abuse or on male sexual gratification at the expense of women and children. God smiles on those who will seek His truths through His Word, and His Word does not condone or command polygamy. Polygamy groups act as though polygamy is the Savior and that Jesus is just an afterthought. But it is Jesus who saves. It's He who died on the cross for our sins so that we could get saved. Polygamy is condemned by God, not condoned. Thank you for watching. See you next time.